All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our cosmetology town hall. As many of you know, we went to a new exam last July through PSI, and we had a recent town hall for barbers, and so we want to have the same for our cosmetology schools out there. This is similar to what we did prior to implementing this exam. So hopefully now that the exam's been in force for several months, maybe this will help you all in how you are preparing your students for their examination. So at this time, we're going to go ahead and just jump right in. I want to thank our partners at PSI for joining us today, and I will turn it over to them. We have with us today Sean Conder and Lynn Thomas, both from PSI, who know a lot more about the testing world than I do. So I will turn it over to them and let them take it away. Thanks so much.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Sean Conder with PSI. I'm glad to be here today. We want to cover some things with the test and just tell you how it's going and maybe answer some questions at the end if you have them. There is a moderator that will help us out with the questions at the end. So at any rate, we have the next slide, please. Our psychometric services we have an actual psychometric department that provides us with our psychometric services. We follow all the standards and best practices to provide these exams to you. They're valid, reliable, fair, secure, and legally defensible. We do real estate construction, appraiser, over 350 credentialing clients as far as their testing goes, and about 5,000 exams a year. Next slide, please. As far as the topic performance in California, the cosmetology test takers are performing highest in the following areas: client consultation, which is 2% of the exam; hairstyling, which is 6% of the exam; hair removal, which is 4% of the exam; makeup, which is 2% of the exam; and safety and infection control, which is 25% of the exam. That's awesome. Some of the areas we need a little help in, and you'll notice these are higher percentages of the exam: hair, scalp, skin, and nail analysis, which is 15% of the exam, is something that we're scoring low on in California. So be sure that in the procedures that we always perform a scalp analysis before any chemical service or haircut service and so forth. Those are things that we need to watch for on this written exam. Also, chemical services, which are 15% of the exam. Products and product chemistry, hair coloring and lightening, chemical relaxing, those types of things seem to be a little more difficult. And application procedures as far as hair coloring and lightening and permanent waving. So those are some places that we're seeing some troublesome areas in. Also, hair cutting in the tool safety section, razors and shears. So that's 12% of the exam. So that's something you might want to keep an eye on as well. Next slide, please. Some of the things that we want to let you know is that be sure you're using up-to-date textbooks. Can we have the next slide, please? As far as the references and so forth, those will be provided to you in the CIB. Lynn Thomas is going to be presenting this next section, and she will also be showing you what those references are. As well, make sure that you're holding good theory sessions and talking about these things that we see the low scoring in, as far as especially hair cutting. I think that's one that we really need to look at. So at any rate, I'm going to have Lynn go over the CIB and kind of talk to you about maybe doing some testing or test study and so forth. Lynn?
Good morning, everyone. I hope y'all can hear me okay. Sean, you were a little bit soft there, so I'm going to speak up a little bit just in case, so I don't have the same problem. We are so happy to be with you this morning. It did go very well with speaking with the barbers, and so we know it's going to go well for you too. I have some great information to share with you about reading this Candidate Information Bulletin, or a CIB. This is one of the most important pieces of documentation that you can get to your students. This tells them exactly what to expect on that exam, how to study for the exam based on that, what to expect when they get to a site. Many things that they need to know are in this. I have often said when I've come to these meetings that schools should develop a contest of some sort. The one with the worst shaped Candidate Information Bulletin, when they get done, as a prize winner of some sort. That means they read it. That means they worked with it. It's extremely important. Just here on the front, you can see the outline and the context of where things are at on what pages. So if we could have the next slide, let me take a peek at that and see what we've got. I want to go over some study suggestions. This content outline gives you places that you can study. And one of the first things I want to explain, I think, is the references. We currently use both the Pivot Point and the Milady textbooks for cosmetology, esthetician, nails, and all aspects of the exam. This is very important for you to understand because there are some schools out there that are just Pivot Point only or Milady only. And so it needs to be important to you. It's important to you that you understand that when we have a question on the exam, and we call them items on the exam, that the item is referenced in both books. If it is not in both books, it cannot be used on the exam. So we both know, or we all know, that Pivot Point speaks a little bit differently than Milady speaks in their text, but they say the same thing. As long as the item is saying the same thing and has the same correct answer, we can use it on the item. If it's in Pivot Point, but it's not in Milady and we can't pair it up, then we can't use the item, and same vice versa. So you're not being limited because of your choice of your textbook. It's the only fair way to do that. Can I have the next slide, please? So here we have the content outline. So if you have a copy of your Candidate Information Bulletin, go to this page where you can see this cosmetologist theory exam. I'm going to use this as an example. Under to read this, it's telling you there's 110 questions. 100 of those are scored, but only 10 of them are a pretest. A pretest question or item means that it's being tested out in the field. It does not count for or against a candidate who is sitting for the exam. This is so we can gather data on the item to make sure that it is performing properly before it gets released into the bank of items or questions for the exam. So let's take a look at this. Number one, it says there is safety and infection control. It's 25% of the exam. This is a good chunk that you really need to study. So I'm going to share with you a couple things that we have done in the past to help raise some of these scores. Is that as an instructor, if you choose, or have your students do it, either way, but you could build a study guide using this content outline. And let me share with you how it works. If we were coming in a group to review the questions or add more questions to the bank, our psychometricians team would tell us that the bank is low on, let's use the workstation environment, let's use number 2, OSHA safety data sheet. And so we need to write questions for the SDS. For us to begin to write those questions, we go to the textbooks, we look in the back of the book in the index, and we look up SDS or safety data sheet. There it would give us the page numbers to look at to develop a question from. So we would go to that page, we would look at it, we would come up with a question in there, then it's reviewed by the team that's there to look to see if it's a valid question. Is there anything that could go wrong with it? Is it actually referenced? And then from there, that test question then goes into the pool for pretest to make sure it's going to operate correctly. If it comes back and there's something that shows, that data shows that something's wrong, it's not performing well, we immediately turn it off, and then we bring it back to a review committee to take a look at it again to see what could possibly be going wrong. Why isn't it performing well? So if I can use this as an example for a study guide, because this is where we get the test questions from, we're going to go to the index, and I've chosen the Milady book because it's what I have in my library right here. We're going to go to the safety data sheets in there. If I look in the index, I'm going to see that on page 72 of the book, it's going to talk about the SDS sheets. So everything that is on that page 72, that's what I'm going to read. I'm not going to read everything about OSHA. I'm not going to read everything that goes on a safety data sheet. I'm going to study, one, what is it? What's it for? What's it about? Why do we have it? Those are the kind of things that I'm going to get from that. Chances are that when they sit down to take that test and they get an item related to the SDS sheet, they're going to recognize the language that's written in that test item because it's something they have already read. I hope that makes sense to you. I'll use another example. If we go down into infection control, and let's say, for instance, let's go to single versus multi-use items. Where am I going to find that? Well, first off, my topic that I'm looking under is under cleaning and disinfection number 2. And under that, I'm looking for single versus multiple or multi-use. So if I go to the index, I'm going to look under disinfection because that's where I'm at, right? On here, if you can see that I'm in disinfectants, I'm in that category. So I'm going to go into the index, and I can see in the index it says disinfect versus dispose. Multi-use and single use have to do with disposing items, right? So where is the proper place for that to go? If I look in the index on page, or tells me on page 89 and 90, I'm going to be able to read about disinfecting versus disposing something. So if I look on there and I go to page 89, I can see right at the bottom of the page where it says multi-use. And then on page 90 at the very top of the page, I'm going to see where it says single use. So if I was at a exam review committee meeting and the psychometrician said, we need some more questions regarding single use or regarding multi-use, this is exactly where I'm going to take a look to see what kind of question can I write out of the information that's on page 89 and 90. That if you use that concept throughout this entire content outline, you have to rely on your knowledge as an instructor of what is going to be in these topics. Like when it says disinfect versus dispose, that is an indication to show you that that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, do I disinfect something or do I dispose of something? If I'm talking multi-use and single use, I'm talking about multi-use, meaning that I can disinfect it and I can use it again. If it's something that should be thrown away or disposed, then that's going to be a single-use item. If you use this concept throughout this whole content outline, it will help you to build a study guide for them. Now, when they leave the test site, each of the students receive a score report. On that score report, Sean, I'm not sure, is there a slide for the score report on here? Did I lose you, Sean? There you are.
Yes, we'll be covering that in a little bit on the next slide.
On the next slide, did you say?
Yeah, I believe it's on the next slide.
Okay, let's go to the next slide then while I'm on the score report. This is more of the content outline telling you what is on here. On this particular side, we're still talking about the hair, the scalp, the skin, and the nail analysis. This is the area that Sean was speaking of that is a low performing area that probably needs some help here. So you're going to go to your index, you're going to look up the conditions and disorders of the hair and the scalp. You're going to look at those pages and you're going to study just those pages in there, not the entire chapter, but just those pages that have to do with this A, B, and C. Let's go to the next slide. And then the next. Again, this all works the same way. And the next, and the nails. And here are the references, the pivot point fundamentals, and the Milady standards. So as I was saying before, if we write an item, no matter what book we use, it has to be able to be referenced to both of these books, or it cannot be put into the exam. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, so let's stop right here. I want to talk about the score report because that's important. If you have a relationship with your students and they go to the exam site, they take the test, and they come back and they're discouraged because they were not successful, the score report that they receive will have a breakdown in those categories on the content outline of how they performed in each of those areas. When you see that, if you ask them to bring, oh, Sean's telling me it's the next one. So let's go back to, oh, there we go. Okay. So if you could take a look at this right here, it has all of the content areas that are listed and what your score is. So in this particular example, I'm just going to pull out the chemical services at 33%. We know that that is a low performance in that area because it's 33%. So if you and your student look at this, you can say, okay, we've got to study chemical services. We need to study maybe some skincare and some hair, scalp, and analysis. So now instead of these that you're performing, like in hairstyling, 75%, there's no need to study that. That's a clear indication that they're able to successfully answer these items within this content area. So don't spend time studying there. Spend time studying this 33%. So go back in, look under the content outline under chemical services, break down those ABCs that are listed there, look in the index of the textbook, find the pages, and just study those pages, not the entire chapter of chemical services. It's too much information. It's more than what they need in order to study. This was what we call target studying. So we're going to target this area to make sure that they are able to kind of get through that and kind of help them a little bit. So let's go ahead and move to the next slide. Oh, well, that's all that we had for you, it looks like. So I'm sure there's lots of questions out there. Sean and I both are very happy to answer those questions for you. One thing that we do want to share is that the cosmetology team and division at PSI, we are all licensed in the field of cosmetology, barbering, estheticians, nail techs. We do it all. So we do get what your questions may be. We do understand what you're asking when you ask it. And it is best to come to our team directly rather than going through the customer service department for your questions. They are customer service representatives who have a script in front of them to answer questions about testing, but not about what's on the test. So if you have those kind of questions, please reach out to Sean or I and our team. We can be reached through, this slide says barber@psionline.com. That's a true statement, but we also have cosmetology@psionline.com. Either way, that will create an email ticket to my team directly, and we can get your answers that you need right away. So at this point, Sean, do you have something else that you would like to add?
I think that's it. If you have questions, I think it'd be very valuable if you want to ask questions and we can answer those.
All right, we can go ahead and ask our moderator to go ahead and open it up for questions.
All right, so this is the moderator, and I've opened up the Q&A feature for questions and comment. You can also use the raise hand, and if you're an audio only participant, you can raise your hand by pressing *3 on your device. Right, and it looks like we have a couple requests, so I'm going to go in the order that they are received. Please be patient. There might be like a lot of comments, but we'll get to yours. So if you can not type in the Q&A multiple times. So let's see, we have a couple raised hands, so I'll start with those. Leah Urbina, you'll be given 2 minutes to speak and a 30-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
So my question is, how is the notification process for the candidates? Is it still like it was before, or has there been changes?
Are you asking about the confirmation for a session that they are requesting, like to take the exam? I guess I'm a little
Yes.
bit confused.
Yeah, like how do you guys notify them of their exam date, or
Mhm.
is the process still like it was before, or have you guys made changes?
Okay, you broke up just a little bit there, but if I understand your question, you're asking what kind of information does PSI send to a person who has scheduled an examination? What we do is that when a person schedules the examination, we automatically send an email confirmation of the test date, the time, and the location, and a contact information if you need to call in to reschedule that examination. But it's usually by email, and the email that's used when a person registers for the exam.
All right, perfect. That answered the question.
Thank you.
All right. So next we have Patty Glover, and Patty, you'll be given 2 minutes to speak in a 30-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
Is are there any questions from the health and safety course book or the rules and laws from the board on the exam?
Sean?
Not to my knowledge. We
No.
don't have any state-specific questions on this exam, no.
Could you repeat that, please, Sean?
No, there are no state-specific questions on the test.
Okay, so in our teaching, those should be eliminated, or because the state requires that we teach the health and safety course book.
You know,
It's a
Kristen,
requirement for our state, but it's not on the test.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Next we have Sir Devi. And Sir Devi, if you can please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
Hello.
You're unmuted.
Sorry, yeah. My question is all the slides what we just had in this meeting, do we get in an email form? I kind of want to go back and check those or
We'll not be emailing this out, but we will be posting it live, I believe. I mean, I'm sorry, not live. We will be posting a link so that you can rewatch it.
oh perfect. Okay, thank you so much.
All right. And next we have Lucretia Robinson. And Lucretia, if you could please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
Afternoon, or I think it's still morning time. I just wanted to double check. I thought that I heard that there is no health and safety on the exam. Is that correct?
no, there is health and safety questions. What we've eliminated are human anatomy, chemistry that's not specific to that license, and electricity.
Right. So there's what the question was on the board specific health and safety course that you're required to teach that's specific to California. That is not part of this exam.
Okay, awesome. And then lastly, is there a link that students can find practice exams?
Yes, if you go to the website at psiexams.com, you'll find links to the practice tests.
Thank you.
All right. So this is the moderator. Next we have Jaime? Or maybe it's Jamie. And then Jamie, if you can please click the unmute button when the prompt appears on your device.
Hello?
Hello, you are muted.
Okay, thank you. So my question was, when will the cosmetology theory exam journal portion is going to be updated to My Lady's 14 edition? Because right now it's on their 13 in cosmetology.
Yes, we are doing ERCs this year, or workshop groups that are reevaluating the examination and updating the referencing and so forth. So by the end of the year, we should have those updated to the 14th edition.
Okay, so you're looking at, will it be like in July in the middle or at the end of the year, December 2023?
Should be around December.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, and next we have Brand Hamilton. And please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
My question was, we've had students, you know the form that you guys showed that shows the examination results with the percentages?
Yes.
We've had students indicate that they've requested that form and been declined receipt of the form. Is that something that is optional for the exam proctors to give out, or is it required for them to give it if the student asks for it?
You know, we do have some areas where that score report is emailed out to them. So I may have misspoke and that it is not given right then and there at the site, but it arrives within 24 to 48 hours. I believe it's 24 hours though. But anytime you have a student that comes back and says they didn't get one and they need one or would like to have it right away, whatever, you can certainly send an email to cosmetology@psionline.com and we can make sure they get their results.
And that's regardless of the exam type?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
All right, so next we have Jessica Arvalo. And Jessica, please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
And I are on the same device. My question is, where can we get a copy of the content outline?
The content outline is included in the candidate information bulletin that you can download off the either the PSI exams website or the California DCA website.
Okay, is that something that we have to pay for?
No.
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, also another question, is there a way that the instructors can take the exam so we know what the exams are structured like?
At this time, we don't have a review that the instructors can take. We don't usually have those available.
Okay, thank you.
Also, just to clarify real quick, you can get that PSI exam booklet on the BBC website, so on our board's website.
Oh, okay, thank you.
All right, so next we have Rachel. And then Rachel, please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
Hi, my question is, I have a lot of students having their application sent back to them for not attaching their proof of training. Several have pictures showing that it was attached, and I'm just curious, is there a better way to make sure that it's completely attached so it doesn't get kicked back?
Hi, so we've been having some issues. I think it's, you know, there's an attach button you have to make sure to click so it looks like it's attached, but if they're not also clicking the attach button at the bottom, it doesn't stick, like it doesn't stay when you move on to the next page. So just make sure when they upload it to that page to also click the attach button and just verify that it stays there.
Okay, so there's 2 attach buttons.
Yeah, there's the upload button.
Okay.
That's the one where they go and search in their computer for the document. And then at the very
Yes.
bottom of the page, there's the attach button.
Okay. Upload it, then attach, and then click next?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay,
Yep.
perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
Alex, isn't there a demo of that on our website?
I believe so. Let me find the exact location of it.
Perfect.
We did do a town hall on how to properly attach a POT because we were having concerns with that. And that is up on our website under the schools link.
Okay. The psi.com website or your?
It's our website. So it's barbercosmo.ca.gov. And then if you go to the very top of our website, there's an area that says schools. It's the top right.
Top right. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and next we have Philip. And Philip, please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device. And Philip, you'll want to click that unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device. It'll let you unmute your microphone. Oh, it doesn't look like Philip has a speaker on their device. So I'll read off the question that they posted in the Q&A, which is, are the 10 pre-test non-scored questions all related to cosmetology or some other courses?
It would be cosmetology, or it would be the exam that they're sitting for. So if it's an esthetician exam, they're going to be related to aesthetics. If it's nails, to nails. If it's cause, to all, to cause.
Okay, and then Philip, oh, okay, looks like they got it.
Okay, good.
Wanted to make sure that they didn't have any other questions.
Sure.
Okay, so next we have Patty Glover. And Patty, if you could please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
My question is, the practice exam on the psiexams.com, is that similar to the exam that the students will be sitting for? And is there more than one version of that exam?
Those are test questions just to show a student how the questions are asked and how the distractors are structured. None of those questions will actually appear on a live exam. And as far as I know, there's just the one form on there.
On the live exam, are there more than one? Is there more than one, or is it just one exam?
The actual live exam is a scrambled bank, and so each individual test is different. So you'll have different questions on each test.
All right, and next we have Lucretia Robinson. And Lucretia, if you could please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
Awesome. So question, with the test and exam prep that is available on the PSA website, is this information also in Spanish?
Yes, I believe that they are getting it out in all languages that we offer the test in. I believe that that is happening for Spanish as well.
And the candidate information bulletins are on the Barber Cosmo website in Spanish.
Okay, this is the moderator. It looks like that may be all the questions that we have so far.
All right, well, last call for any questions. You have a captive audience of our PSI folks right now. So we'll give it 1 minute.
And this is the moderator. I'll just repeat the instructions just once again in case anyone joined in late. But if you'd like to ask a question or have a comment to make, you can either access the Q&A box or you can raise your hand. And then audio-only participants can raise their hand by pressing *3 on their device. And it looks like we do have another request from Lucretia Robinson. Lucretia, please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
Hi, what are the regulations for interpreters that may need to accompany a student for their exam for a deaf student?
Let me get up all the requirements real fast. It's actually, if you go to our forms and publications tab on our website and you click examination forms, and then you click exam optional attachments, there's an interpreter application and it lists all the requirements, but I'm bringing it up right now for you. So the interpreter can't be less than 15 years old. They can't have been former students in barbering, cosmetology, manicuring, aesthetics, or electrology. They can't have been licensed as an operator. So that would be in barbering, cosmetology, manicuring, aesthetics, or electrology in this state or any other state. Persons who are or have been enrolled in a barber apprentice or cosmetology apprentice training program cannot be an interpreter. And then persons who have been former junior operators or junior electrologists cannot be. If they've been owners or employees at any school of barbering, cosmetology, or electrology, then they cannot be an interpreter, and they can't have interpreted within the last 2 years.
May I interject here the steps that would be needed at PSI in order to accommodate that sort of accommodation? We do have in the candidate information bulletin, if you take a look there, you can see under accommodations, exam accommodations, they'll have a statement that says click here. You want to click on that link and that takes you to a form that you fill out so that they can set aside the accommodation room and reserve it for you at that test site in order for the interpreter, the candidate, and a proctor to be able to monitor the examination. That way, the exam team will then reach out to the candidate to suggest a couple of days to choose from to be able to sit for that exam on that date. That way, you wouldn't be able to just show up at the site and say, I have my interpreter here, I'm ready to take the exam. We need to make sure that you're in a private room so that it doesn't disturb others who are taking the test. And those steps on that form are the way to do that. The exam accommodations team will reach out to the candidate, set up the date, or set up whoever is filling out that information. If a person cannot speak and you need an interpreter or can't hear, then it would be something that you would want to put that contact information down so that everything could be reserved for that person for that date.
And also, I may have misinterpreted your question there, but we have our reasonable accommodation form on our website. So there's also an option to get an ASL interpreter. If hopefully all this answered that for you, but if not, just go ahead and speak up and I'll help you get that answered.
Lucretia, I think you may have muted yourself. I'm going to request to unmute again if you want to respond.
Quick question. For failed exams, what is the procedure following a failed exam, and what are the locations that the students are taking the exam?
So for a failed exam, they would just submit a re-exam application with the board. And then on that PSI candidate handbook that lists all the different PSI locations, let me get that up as well. So starting on page 6, all the different testing site locations are listed, and there are quite a few. So if you're looking for a specific location in California, you can let me know and I can read that off to you, but there are a lot.
And last question that I have, is Fairfield the only location for the applications to be sent?
No application should be sent to Fairfield. On the top of our application, it actually has our PO box listed. And let me pull it up as well. So our PO box address is,
Are the students required to test in Fairfield before they're eligible to test anywhere else?
No, that's not. I think you may have gotten that mixed up with the practical exam, which is no longer in existence. We used to have an exam site in Fairfield, one in Glendale, but once the students are have their application approved for the exam, they can call PSI to get their exam scheduled at any location that PSI.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes.
All right. And then we also have let me double check if Lucretia had another comment because her hand is raised.
And thank you for your patience. I think this will be probably the last question. Is there any idea or is the practical going to be coming back around at all? Or is that completely at this point X'd out?
And why? Currently, it's X'd out right now. I mean, I would say you never know what the future holds, but the practical is gone. They took it out of our laws.
Awesome. And there are no conversations of potentially bringing that back?
Not that we're aware of.
Okay. And lastly, is there any particular reason that you all know why the practical was removed?
The legislator had removed it. I think they thought it was another barrier to entry, and that also the board only regulates the health and safety. So we're not here to regulate how well someone provides services to their clients. So those were the main reasons.
Okay. So next we have Patty Glover. And then Patty, if you could please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
This question's for Sean. You had named 3 categories that won't be on the, maybe I misunderstood. That I thought you said that won't be on the test. It'd be anatomy, electricity, and
The three areas that we pulled from what you may have seen before are human anatomy, electricity, and chemicals. If they are related to that service as far as safety, you will see questions about it. But other than that, you won't see bones of the leg or, what's the symbol for carbon or anything like that.
thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. This is the moderator. Appears that is all the questions that we have so far.
All right. Well, we want to thank everyone so much for joining us today. We will be placing this on our website, so feel free to look for that in the future. The board is always available to attempt to answer any questions that aren't too specific about the exam. So you're welcome to email us at the board. And again, we want to thank our partners, PSI, Sean and Lynn, for joining us this morning. And thank you all for spending your Monday morning with us. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.